Hello, here we go. It's the Kopite podcast.
What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to another Kopite podcast and another opposition overview. I'm Mick, and I'm pleased to be joined by Kendall Rowan. She's a big Newcastle fan from the Football Terrace to discuss tomorrow's game at St James's Park. How are you doing, Kendall?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you.
Good stuff, good stuff. How's things up in Newcastle then?
Yeah, they're all right. It's very snowy today. I think half the country's had snow, especially the north and Scotland. So, yeah, it's been all right. Just been a winter wonderland. Just a little bit of a Christmas spirit, trying to push that out there. But, yeah, everything's all right up here.
Good stuff. Yeah, we've had a bit of snow here. Well, it's a bit more like slush than snow, really.
Yeah,
but
same. And that is the worst as well. Slush is like the worst. I'd much rather just be pure snow.
Yeah, I've nearly went on my arse a couple of times. That's why. But yeah, let's just jump straight in. Obviously, Newcastle tomorrow. Just talk about your season so far. 14th place on 18 points, but you've got a game in hand, or two games in hand on pretty much all the teams around you. What have you made of the job Steve Bruce has done? Obviously, he only came in last July, didn't he? So he's not been there too long. But what have you made of the job so far?
You know what? But on paper, it looks like he's done an all right job. If you want to go off the fact that we're relatively a yo-yo club the last 10 years, two relegations, and we haven't really got into the top half of the table apart from 5th with Alan Pardew, and we came 10th with Rafa in our first season back after promotion. So on paper, 14th at this point doesn't look too bad. I think that's probably the lowest we've actually been. We've been pretty much around 12th. 13th. So on paper it doesn't look too bad, but when you actually sit and watch the football and watch how we play, and we're grinding out results against teams that have been newly promoted when we've invested like 100 million, near enough £100 million in the squad. It's just not good enough. And right now with these fixtures coming up, obviously we just got beat off Man City, we've got you guys tomorrow, we've got Leicester after that.
Not easy.
It's looking tough, and at this point, with the league being so close and it being so tight, obviously that's going to leave us in a position. Well, if it's going to go the way I think it's going to go, it's going to leave us in an even harder position to get out of, because there are teams now like Fulham, for example, who are, they're kicking on a little bit in the second half of the season. So, well, I know we haven't reached that point yet, but yeah, they're looking as if they're going to kick on now. So I think probably the majority of the fans now, I would say 90% of us are probably wanting a change. Just to want to come in, play better football. Like, that's all we want. We're not bothered. We don't care. We don't want Champions League. We don't want Europa League. Like, we don't expect that. We just want decent football to watch in a team who actually tries to go out and get results rather than just sitting back and playing like we among the fan base, and I think it's getting wider now. We know it as Bruce ball, just the defensive sitting back football, defending defending a 1-0 loss. Sometimes like a 1-0 defeat to Steve Bruce sometimes is good, and you can see us sitting back straight away. It's mental, really, but I just want us to play better. Just attack the players that we do have. We've got enough ability in there. We've got enough technicality in there to do that, but we just don't seem to do it. Yeah,
I think that's why, I see a lot of parallels between Liverpool fans and Newcastle fans. Obviously, we've had a lot of success lately, but like us as Liverpool fans, we wouldn't want a Mourinho type manager to come in and just sit 10 men behind the ball. We want good footy, and I think that's obviously something similar with Newcastle fans. But yeah, it's nice to get that insight, because I thought, obviously he's still new there, but I think when, like you said, the type of footy he plays, it doesn't suit the type of footy Newcastle fans want to see. And like you said, just looking at some of the signings he's made, Joelinton, St. Maximin, Callum Wilson and Jamal Lewis, I'd say the last three of those are pretty good. Joelinton maybe not so much, but what have you made of his signings in general?
The signings in general have been okay. I just think under the coaching and under the system of football that we played, they're just not getting the full potential out of it. Every single person knows. I mean, I know Man United fans, for example, Chelsea fans who wanted St. Maximin, who would still have St. Maximin at this point, which is something that we don't usually have. We don't usually have a desirable player like that very often. sort of get him and for him to regress as badly as it has gone. Obviously, I know he's got coronavirus at the moment. He's apparently been dealing with long COVID, which that's completely fair enough. But a couple of games before that, he was a ghost. He was just non-existent. And a player like that who is so good at driving forward, who's got so much ability on the wing, to, you know, put them creative balls in, it's just not going to work in the system in this style of football that we play. Well, if you would even call it a style, I don't think it really is, but it's just very park the bus, sit back. There's players, he's just not in the right system at all. Callum Wilson's been unreal for us. We haven't had a number, like, I say a number 9. I know Joe Linton's a number 9, but obviously that's really not his position. We haven't had a striker like that for a long, long time. Rondon was on loan, and before that, I think the last person who was decent enough in that position was Cisse. So we haven't had a striker like that for a long time who can score goals. So him for me has been an unbelievable signing, especially in this current climate, because he was only 20 million, and for a decent striker, it's really not. It's a steal. I mean, look, Joe Linton was 40 million. Do you know what I mean? So it's a steal in this sort of respect. He's done some decent frees, like Ryan Fraser on a free. I thought that was a really, really decent business. I'm not Jeff Hendrick's biggest fan, but on a free you can't really complain. He did a solid job for Burnley for a few years. So yeah, his signings have been relatively decent. They're just not showing it in this sort of system right now that we're playing.
Yeah, and who would you like? I haven't got this question written down, but if you could pick a manager to replace him, who would you have though?
If I want to be realistic, I think Eddie Howe. I think Eddie Howe will probably do a better job, sort of coaching wise, especially the fact that obviously he's had Wilson and Fraser there for a long time at Bournemouth. There's been a partnership there for a long time. In my opinion, Fraser's not being utilised enough. Again, he is injured at the moment again, and not looking to be back till probably at the end of January, February. But we really need someone like him, and especially when he's got that already, you know, solid partnership with Wilson there. That's what we need. I want not to play defensive football when we have the people, not, you know, the personnel not to play defensive football, because again, Steve Bruce is a defender. You know, you should be able to play defensive football if you're such a good defender. Surely you know what to do. But I mean, at one point, I think Sam Johnson from West Brom has just overtaken it. But for most of the season, Carl Darlow has actually faced the most shots in the league up to now. If you're playing defensive football and your goalkeeper's still having to save the most shots in the league, it's not working. Like, that's something that's got to be addressed. Lascelles, Sharp, players who have regressed massively under Steve Bruce, who were once, you know, like vital in that defence for our team. So yeah, someone like Eddie Howe I'll be fine with. I know everyone will be like, oh, well, he got relegated to Bournemouth, but yeah, for the job that he did beforehand for 6 years, with, you know, barely a lot of money to compete in the Premier League, at a club like Bournemouth, it hasn't got a massive ground, hasn't got a lot of fans in. I think he did a really, really good job. I mean, there was a video flying about Twitter yesterday of him showing his tactics. I think it was a game against Chelsea a few years ago. And we just need someone who can coach, because right now I think Steve Agnew pretty much does most of Steve Bruce's coaching, you know, things. So yeah, just a manager who wants to coach and can coach us through the game, because Steve Bruce is just a passenger. If you ever watch a Newcastle game, he's just a passenger. So
yeah, and I think when you look at your actual team on paper, it's actually really good. Like the signs we've touched on, like another manager could do wonders with that team. Like there's so many good players. Like your defense is really good. You've got a good solid goalie. You've got a good striker in Wilson. You've got wingers like Maximum and Fraser, who good Premier League proven quality. And it's like, yeah, completely agree with that. I've got to ask as well. Obviously, ex-Reds in the side, Andy Carroll and John Joe Shelby. How have they been getting on recently?
Andy Carroll hasn't got, you know, any minutes. If I'm honest, I think he was playing against Man City for like 10 minutes, if it was that. In my opinion, games like that, where you think, you know, you're going to win, you're expecting to lose, it wouldn't have upset me for him to play, because I think him as a striker and the way that he is, and he's so physical, and, you know, he loves a little bit of an elbow and a header. I think like teams like Man City who aren't used to dealing with things like that, it would have scared them a little bit, whereas we started with Joe Linton up front, which is just mental. Yeah, Andy Carroll just doesn't. I mean, look, everyone knows, you'll know yourself, he injures himself up in a bag of crisps. Like, it's just not hard. He's just injured. He's just injured constantly. Yeah. He did, for the first time in his career, he completed a pre-season, a full pre-season this year. So, I thought, oh, maybe this is his last year, he'll have a decent side. No, hasn't had barely any minutes. And John Joe Shelby divides our fan base time and time again. He's just so inconsistent. I think that's what divides everyone, because they want him to be the John Joe Shelby that everyone knows he probably can be. He used to be one of the best passers in the league, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And he's just not consistent enough with it. And when we're in the system that we are, and we're playing so far back, it ends up leaving him to lump long balls forward, which it's just never going to work when we sit so deep, because Callum Wilson's just left isolated. So everyone's getting on at his back as well. And he's not, I just don't, he's a captain when Lascelles isn't there, and I just don't find him to be captain material. I don't think he's enough of a leader and like a voice on the pitch to do that. Yeah. So I think it ends up, just leaving a lot of like negative taste in our fans' mouths. But I don't mind Shelby on his day. I'll have him in midfield all day alongside Hayden. But yeah, he's just a bit inconsistent, is John Joe.
Yeah, because I'm just looking now. Like, I can't believe he left Liverpool when he was 21. And even then, like, he was a good player. But it's what you're saying. It's just an echo of what we were all saying back then. Yeah. And you think now he's 28. You should have really kicked on, shouldn't he? And like started to start.
Yeah,
like,
I mean, this is the prime time in your career, like 26, 27, 28. And he's done not really much. But again, I must admit, Rafa wasn't his biggest fan at all. And he, to be honest, he wasn't really in the starting 11 much when Rafa was there. He preferred like sort of a long staff. So yeah, it was it was hard for him to get on the side then. So I guess he hasn't really been able to show in his prime years. He hasn't really been able to show what he can do. But yeah, maybe he'll do it for this season.
Yeah, and maybe in like you said, like if you did get like an Eddie Howe, he might be better in that type of system with a more of a manager who wants to get the ball on the deck. I think that's 100%. John Joe, doesn't he? Because he done that a lot for us, like long balls, like because he came in like round when Steven Gerrard was kind of leaving. He was trying to kind of replicate what he was doing, like those long, like 60-yard passes into feet, which only certain people can do in world football. And he's obviously he can do it, but I think he tries it too often, doesn't he? But let's crack on. Obviously, with this season, let's just answer this question from Ross actually, because it's quite a good question. Do you think the game could be postponed with City players isolating? They've just played them, so could be the interest of Newcastle to protect their players?
We did have obviously a game postponed at the beginning of the month, so that was against Aston Villa because there was a COVID outbreak at Newcastle. We were actually the first club to have a outbreak, if you want to put it like that. We had, I think, up to 14 players and staff at one point. I think it'll be okay with the way that they go on with testing at the moment, because I know there are double testing and they're testing twice weekly. It's probably upped now with all these new cases, because there's been the most cases recorded today than there has been this whole year, since I think November was 16, it's 18 now. So I think it'll be fine. I do understand obviously the concerns, but yeah, with all the rules and stuff in place now, I think it should be fine.
Yeah, should be all good, hopefully, because you don't want to see. I mean, there's been talk of like having like a 2-week layoff just to kind of let everyone have a recovery and then just come back, which might be a good idea, because we might actually see, like, for Liverpool point of view, Thiago coming back, because that seems like we need him back ASAP, so that'll be good for that. But yeah, we'll jump into obviously focus on this season. I had a look at your form. You had a good win against the likes of Everton last month. That was a good win for you. Are the performances, do you think, warranting more points? Or, like you said, I mean, we've touched on it already, you're not happy with the way you're playing. You need a bit more squad depth, don't you? Some better players to make that squad stronger and more rounded. Yeah,
unfortunately, beggars can't be choosers. We did like solidify a few positions, but there's a couple more signings we need. We need an extra striker. For some reason, he's not a fan of Dwight Gale, and I do understand the whole, he's another one who divides opinions, but there's not really any harm in playing him now. We've only got Callum Wilson, and for some reason he likes Joe Linton as a backup striker, and anyone who knows anything about football, like my mum does not watch football whatsoever, and even she would watch that and think, yeah, he's not a striker. I'm not that she would know the position, but she would be like, yeah, I don't think he plays there. So we needed another decent striker. And we needed, we got Jamal Lewis at left back, but I would have liked to see Williams come back even on loan just for the rest of the season, and then maybe an option to buy at the end, and because he has refused a new deal with Frankfurt. So I I would have liked to see that because he did a job and then obviously got mega injured. So,
Yeah.
and that didn't go too well. But it just, a lot of the signings that we made, we needed extra in those areas and we needed other areas filling. And you can't do everything. And I must admit, we can't do anything. We invested 100 million, you just can't do everything. But right now, the results that we're getting are just so lucky. I mean, look, earlier in the season, we ended up getting a draw at Tottenham because of one of those handball decisions when the new rule first came in. So that was a point gained there, which we would probably have never got. I still can't believe we got 3 points at Everton. That was a shock. Obviously, we got a point at Wolves, which we probably weren't expecting. But it's teams in and around us that we mega struggle against. Obviously, we've just played the 3 promoted sides, like one game after the other. So got absolutely pammed off Leeds 5-2, which was well deserved. Towards the end, it was 2-2 up until 75 minutes, and then they just smashed on. We just sat back as usual. Drew with Fulham, beat West Brom 2-1, which was again probably lucky for us. So no, I think to be honest, Steve Bruce is like riding on luck a lot of the time because he's ending up getting results where you wouldn't have thought that you probably would. But right now, we're never expecting to beat Liverpool, we're never expecting to beat Man City, we're never expecting to beat Leicester. But these are probably games where something will happen because of this season is so unpredictable. And we'll end up getting like a few points here and there, which probably people wouldn't have expected. So
I think in a way you can't, like you said, because Steve Bruce is quite a defensive manager. These type of games will suit him because he's going to come up against those City and Leicester, 10 men behind the ball, hope for a set piece or a counter attack with Wilson's pace, and you might get something. You might even get something tomorrow. You never know, because obviously going to come on to Liverpool's away form. We're looking at our away form. We've won 10 points out of a possible 21 this season, which is mad to think that we're still top of the league. Are you more hopeful of nicking a result because of our away form? I know we beat Palace like 7-0, which was surprised everyone, even me and most Liverpool fans. But are you hopeful because of that patchy away form from us?
No, I'm not. I'm not hopeful whatsoever. If anything, it sounds a bit crazy, but because of the form that they were on, and obviously Man City aren't, they aren't the Man City that we think that they have been the past couple of seasons, and they were struggling a lot. They were the ones out of the 3 fixtures that I find are going to be difficult. They were the ones who I thought maybe we could, get a point from. The rest, I really don't think that we are. But the Liverpool fans that I spoke to apparently seem to think that it's not going to be as easy as I think it is for Liverpool. So I don't know. Everyone seems to think that we're a lot of clubs' bogey team, like Chelsea, for example, and Man City again. You're our bogey team. But this year we're not. We're no one's bogey team. To be honest, I don't think any single team is going to come and think, "Oh God, I don't want to play them." Especially like with players like St. Maximin and stuff out. So I just don't think anyone's going to be worried about playing us this season. I'm not offended if, other fans say, yeah, we're not bothered about playing you, because I wouldn't be if the shoe was on the other foot, I wouldn't be either. Yeah,
and like you said, like having St. Maximin out, that's huge, isn't it? Because he is like the creative, you need like 3 players marking him. He's that good. He's Adama Traore good. I think I put him in the same bracket as him. Like he's like a battering ram, isn't he, when he's on top form? So yeah, it's good news for us, but not so good for you. In terms of from our side, then, who are you most worried about facing?
Any of the attacking players, because I know that I'm not worried about the defense because we're not going to attack too much, so I'm not necessarily worried about that, if that makes sense. But I'm worried about the likes of Salah, who will just absolutely just annihilate our defense, especially if we're playing the likes of Yedlin, who I don't mind Yedlin as a player, but like a forward player, like I would see him as a wing back over like a defensive right back. So just players like that. Obviously, I don't know who's going to play it, tomorrow, Salah, Mane, whoever. It wouldn't bother me because I'm still scared of them all. I'd be even scared of like Minamino, for example. I'm just not confident the way that we are at the moment. Like our defense is like a crisp in a lock. Like it's not offering anything at the moment. So yeah, 100% the attacking players. I'm just worried about anything like that. I mean, even Jordan Henderson, like someone who, Newcastle fans want to have this weird rivalry with because he's like an ex-Mackham. But I think Jordan Henderson's so underrated as a midfielder. I really do think that. I don't think a lot of people rate him highly considering the job that he's done the past few years at Liverpool. So even him, because our midfield is a shambles. So the only hope that I have in our midfield is like Hayden. So yeah, anyone.
all of them then.
Yeah, all of them.
Yeah, because like you said, like you've got a fullback, to be fair, like Yedlin's rapid, isn't he? And so is Lewis is pretty quick. So in terms of pace, they've got good recovery pace coming up against Mane and Salah. But like you said, if your form's not there, then it's always gonna be a worry. Especially Bobby Firmino's just came into form as well, so he's going to be dropping into those holes.
Just loves to happen right now.
Another question I've got for you then. If you could take one of our players, injured or not, who would you have? Any of them? Which one would you have?
Loads of them. I don't think. The thing is, I don't think a goal scorer is like massively important because we've got Wilson, and plus he wouldn't get the service even if we did have him. So, it would probably be someone like Trent Alexander-Arnold because we haven't had a decent right back in a long time. It would definitely be like even Andy Robertson I would take because we, as I said, left back's a bit of a struggle position because we've got Paul Dummett and Jamal Lewis there at the moment. So yeah, definitely one of the full-backs, I think.
Yeah, I think even a Virgil van Dijk would sort his out as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, he's injured now. He'd be back probably next season, but even him, I think he could play anywhere on the pitch and be good. He's that good. Yeah. What have you made then of obviously our recent success as a Newcastle fan? Like, I've got a soft spot for Newcastle. I always have. Like going to St James's Park over the years, I love it up there. What have you made of it? Like obviously winning the Champions League, then winning the Premier League. Have you been impressed by the way we've progressed?
Yeah, 100%. I think it's been absolutely phenomenal. And teams go and win the league and they don't really do much the season after. It's not very often, that you get a double or anything like that. So to win a Champions League and then win the league after, it's just shown, you're still on form, you're still improving, you're still at an elite level. And I could never ever deny the job that Klopp has done for yous at all. I think he's, a phenomenal manager. Whether you like him as a person or you think he makes ridiculous comments like the wind made them lose at Wolves. That was a bad one. You can't deny his managerial ability. And Liverpool as well, yes, they've invested in their squad, but you haven't spent the millions that, for example, like Chelsea have done. You've invested in decent quality signings who have ended up becoming brilliant. Like, look, Jota, for example, no one would have ever thought that he would have been such an unbelievable signing. Yes, he was good. We knew he was good at Wolves. Like, no one was denying that. But the fact that he came on form and he did so well in the couple of game run that he had, it's really good investment and really good recruitment from your side of things. It's nice to see he's up there because for me personally, like I'm 25 and I don't remember a time when you guys were up there as much as the likes of, yes, you were top four always, but winning the leagues and things. Obviously, I don't remember that because it's mostly been Man United, my life, my football life. So it's nice to see someone else competing for the title. And yeah, I still think it's yours again this year. I don't think that's a question, but this league is so unpredictable this year. So
I know, I can't.
Could be anything.
Honestly. Yeah, well, like getting beat 7-2 by Villa and then the weekend drawing with West Brom, and now I think Leeds are beating them 5-0, which is just like, why couldn't we go and do that? It just drives me insane. But yeah, it's just this year's just going to be a mad one, isn't it? Like literally anyone could win the league. I just hope that we manage to nick it.
I think for some reasons I like Liverpool and Newcastle fans have a sort of affinity because they're very similar fans, very passionate, traditionally working class fans, and obviously the Rafa link just sort of connected it a lot more. So I think a lot of Liverpool fans and Newcastle fans kind of relate to each other on a support on their club level as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, love Rafa Benitez. What a guy. But in terms of then, moving on a bit, what's your favourite ever memory of this fixture? Obviously, I think people think of the 2-4-3 games in 96, 97, which I was pretty young then. Even then, I was like 7 and 8. I think I'll give you mine first. Mine's probably the 5-1 win in 2008 because I went to that one when Gerrard was just like a man possessed. What would you say yours was?
See, mine is probably like, it's not even a win for us, or it's not even a specific like time, but 10 years ago, exactly 10 years ago, I think it was on the 21st of December. Don't judge me for remembering the date, but Fernando Torres is he's my favorite footballer ever, not for ability, but just because I came across him when I was 9 and I was on holiday, and he played for Atletico at the time. He was 20 and I fell in love with him, and I've loved him ever since. And I've followed Atletico Madrid with or without him, and also followed his career. So I think 10 years ago today was the first time I ever saw him at an actual game, and I just cried the whole game. So it's not even like a great memory because I think we won that game. I feel like we won 2-1 maybe. I could be wrong. That could be completely wrong. But
can't remember now.
I can't remember now. I can't remember. I might be getting mixed up. But yeah, that for me, it just cements it, because I remember it so clearly. I remember the day so clearly. I just going there, even though I don't remember the score. And it was my first season that I had a season ticket as well. So like a full season ticket. So yeah, that would just be my favourite memory, because most of the time we play, it's not great. So
yeah, well, I was looking before. Like I think your last win was in December 2015. Which is like 5 years ago. Like a certain Gini Wijnaldum scored that day, which says a lot about like how long. Like I don't want to. I want to see Newcastle up the top. I think I've seen a Trent article today, something about like he thinks Newcastle are going to do big things.
Yeah, and then Andy Robertson said something the same. Like it said Steve Bruce was a good manager or something, and I was like, don't.
I don't know why they're doing that to you.
I think they're just doing it on purpose. They've linked up before. Yeah, 3-1 Newcastle.
There you go.
So, yeah, I thought we won. I thought it was 2-1, but yeah. So that great memory for me. It was my first time seeing my absolute idol, love of my life, and we won. So
there we go. You can always rely on Jay, Statman Jay, Nolan. Oh, of course, Nolan Barton and Carroll.
You love the ex-player. Well, I suppose he wasn't ex-player then, but ex-player scoring against you, Wijnaldum, Carroll.
I know, and obviously Nolan Barton, 2 Scousers as well. So
yeah.
that was even more difficult to take. Yeah, so pretty much finishing up now. Should we have some score predictions tomorrow then, please, Kendall?
Oh, I'm dreading it, to be honest. I think 3-0 Liverpool.
3-0.
Yeah.
No. I'm going 3-1. I feel like Callum Wilson is definitely going to score at some point.
Well, yes, if he's on the pitch, maybe, but I think he possibly. I mean, they rested him against Man City, and they were going to rest him again tomorrow. So
yeah,
whether or not that happens, because he had a knock apparently against City. I don't know if that's so true, but whether or not he's rested tomorrow. If he isn't, 3-1 I can probably say, but if he's rested, we've got no chance of scoring.
I love your optimism. I'm not. I'm saying 3-1, but I'm not. It's not like a battering 3-1. It's like I feel like you might even score first. Honestly, like our away form is just like so patchy. And I mean, we beat Palace 7-0, which surprised everyone. But like apart from that, we just don't start very well away from home. It seems to take an age to get going, and I think that might play into Steve Bruce's hands, because same happened against West Brom. The longer the game goes on, and we haven't got a 2-goal lead, it opens it up to, like, obviously you've got some big fellas at the back who can score off a corner, so that might play into your hands, I think.
We'll see. Maybe you're clearly more optimistic than I am about my own team, but I just think it's less pessimistic and more realistic, I think, in my opinion. Because I've seen it so much this season so far, and if we do score first, that'll be right up your alley, because then we'll just completely sit back and do nothing. We'll have no attacking force whatsoever. So yeah, that'll be great to watch.
Well, we might have to get you back on, and if whatever the result is, and have a little chat about it again. But yeah, thanks again for coming on, Kendall. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you for having me.
Load of insight there. Not too much optimism, but yeah, like you said, it's refreshing to see some like you being completely honest, and you've got a view of where your club wants to go, and it's not going quite that like the way it is now. But I hope it does. Obviously, after tomorrow, I hope you get your wish and Steve Bruce gets the sack and you get someone else in.
I know, how good of a new year would that be? I would love it. Yeah, only if we get someone good though, because I mean, Tony Pulis is out of a job now. So,
Oh, true. That'd be even worse.
Not looking forward to that.
Yeah, you'd go from a flat back 10 to 11 if possible. You just have 11 defenders on the pitch. So yeah, I won't wish that on anyone. But yeah, thanks again, Kendall, for coming on. Please drop us a like, subscribe, and give us a comment. Any or all will be appreciated, and we'll see you again tomorrow for the team news reaction. See you in a bit.